Volzerk Monsters and Lands Unknown is the new action RPG available for download on both Steam and Android. I've got about 30 days of hefty playtime on this account, and through many scouts, pairings, and crossbreedings, I feel like I've gotten a general feel of the game. It's taken a while to get this far, but I've loved it every step of the way, so without wasting too much time, here's what 30 days of Volzerk Monsters and Lands Unknown looks like. Since we're already here, we can talk about the Monsterpedia. This game has 470 monsters for you to crossbreed and pair. Some are much more difficult to obtain than others, but all in all, obtaining them isn't even really the hard part. By far, the most effective way to obtain these monsters is to crossbreed them from lower generations, and that can take a lot of work. Even though my suggested quest for some reason is episode 5 hard, I've actually cleared the entire game, every single mission, every submission of every stage, of every chapter. If one thing is 100%, this was definitely a daunting task. A lot of these stages are uber difficult, and it's going to take some legitimate pro strategies to get through them. An easy way that I was able to beat those in-game stages with not so efficient monsters was by farming these 2-star scout quests, because they actually give you elixirs of life. Very often I'm asked if you should buy scouts with kine, and 100% you should. You're going to get millions of kine, and it's not even going to be a big deal, so you definitely want as many characters as you can get. You also get to choose a free 4-star, and a lot of people have difficulty choosing that, so if you're interested, I'll leave a link at the end of this video for a guide on 4-star scouts. But through all the scouting and completing all of the stories, the entire reason that you're going to do that is just so you can unlock these hard mode expeditions. As you progress in the story, you're going to need different low tier monsters in order to breed some of the late game ones, so you're going to have to unlock these hard mode expeditions in order to obtain them. So if we want to look at the scouts that I used to beat the story, I've used 3 Megaton Punch users just to beat hard mode, but before I got to the point where I was just spamming Megaton Punch, I was using the sword user Zion, and I was definitely using as my main Insatiable Kirsch. You can definitely beat the game with some of these lower star characters, especially like the 1-stars that have crazy high stats for whatever reason, but in case you were curious, Kirsch was my main carry for normal mode. My team isn't even all level 30 right now because I've pumped a lot of experience into other characters. I highly recommend trying to save as much of this experience as you can, because it's really not easy to come by. For Minimons, I swap them out every now and then, but I really found that just spamming Megaton Punch and these acorn attacks is super effective. All of my units are wearing 2 Sapphire Bangles, just because from that they get 1300 defense, and that makes it possible to live attacks from like millennial monsters. And the weapons are pretty straightforward. For the most part, you just want to build down the tree of the element of the wielder. Enhancing your Minimon is always a good idea, but whenever you unlock hard mode, you actually get like the tier 2 Minimon, which are just leagues stronger, and then there's also like secret Minimon, but if you're not going to get that far, I'm not going to spoil it. And alchemy is actually a way bigger part of this game than I expected it to be. It's kind of like Terraria, where you have to build multiple tiers of different weapons, and then they all branch together to make like a super weapon, so it does take a lot of work to get those. In initiation, it's smart to go ahead and lock in all of the S rank initiations that you want to keep on your monster, because they transfer to the next generation. If you're not sure if your character has S rank initiations, by clicking switch on the screen, you can actually scroll down and see which ones are not initiated, and if you have any S tiers down there, you're going to want to try and get them up to the top. After enough crossbreeding, if you have a crossbreed count of 4, you're able to get their maximum level up to 14, and you can also ensure that they have really good initiations. You're definitely going to run into gender issues in this game, like you're going to have all of your 2nd generation monsters are female and all of your 3rd generation are male. That makes it very difficult to progress in your crossbreeding. A good trick that I found to help kind of soothe some of the pain from losing these +4s, only ever breed your +4s with other +4s, because if you do it with a +3, it has a chance to be +3, and then that's just a waste. So if you have a bunch of +2s or +3s, I'd say that they're fair game to go ahead and try crossbreeding to get new combinations, because that's really going to be the way that you fill out most of your Monsterpedia. Friend crossbreeding is really the saving grace of this game, because all of that work that I just mentioned to get one top tier character, you could just sort of cut that work in half by getting another friend to do the same thing. And you have AFK training here. You can level up the training equipment to help increase the experience that certain stats gain over time. Really, if you remember me telling you how much kine you get, then there's a little bit of a pro tip here that I could show you. If you just remove everybody except for the one character that you want to train, you can boost them super cheap. Just as a quick example, I'm going to go ahead and put this Zoraga down, and since he's the only person in my training area, once I start the special training, it does not cost a lot of gold to level him up. I like how every topic is sort of leading into the next one, because whenever it comes to selling things for more kine, you're going to want to do that, and you're only going to want to do it in either the items or the lowest tier weapons. But in these items, there are definitely some traps that you do not want to fall into. The number one big no-no is selling any of these crystals, because at first you're going to get a bunch of these and you're gonna be like, these are totally stupid, they don't do anything, but they are necessary to progress your alchemy tree. After you've unlocked some of the higher level alchemies, you can feel free to sell these low 1-star pieces. That's not really a big deal. I still wouldn't sell these low tier elemental gems, because every now and then you're going to need those to make an elemental weapon, and you don't really want to go all the way back just to farm them. As a general rule of thumb, whenever you're selling things, you kind of want to stick to these 2 and 3 star items, because they really give the most gold, and you never want to sell a full stack. You always want to leave up like a couple hundred or a couple thousand just in case you need them. But I'm not just going to sit here and explain strats. I'll actually show you too. I'll go ahead and do the monster cup on normal so you can see my team in action. I'm used to playing with a controller, and also my microphone is hooked up to my phone, so I don't want you to hear a bunch of tapping, so I'm just going to play like montage music. Yeah, it was kind of sloppy because I usually use a Razor Kishi, but I've found that strategy of just spamming the acorns and Megaton Punch to be extremely effective on like every single stage. But now that I've beaten all of the story, this is technically where the real game begins, because it's all about crossbreeding. It would take me just as much time to breed a perfect Lugank as it did for me to do all of the things I've done up to this point. And on top of that, the mini monster grind has also just begun for me, because I don't even have any of the rare ones yet. I think this game has been great. A lot of people have concerns that there's no multiplayer, but I assume that they're working on that in the future, and actually the friend crossbreeding kind of fills that gap for me. But that's what 30 days of Volzerk looks like. I would be happy to take it to 60s, so if you like this video, I'll know to continue with the series. But thanks so much for watching, y'all. And other than that, that's gonna do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.